What's up guys, welcome back to Michael's Tech Talk, and it has finally arrived. Nearly 2 months, but that M1 iPad Pro has finally arrived. So let's get it unboxed and get it set up and get a look at it. Here it is. Ordered this on launch day. Yeah, it took a long time. Took a long time to arrive. So this is the M1 iPad Pro, 256 gig model, space grey. I didn't go for the 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte model, which comes with a 16 gig of RAM, just simply because I didn't think I would need it. So let's get it opened and let's get a look. There we go. There's not much in it, but there's a noticeable weight difference compared to the, well, I have the 2018 model, and I think the 2018 model is very, very light. So there's a difference in the weight with this for sure. Do you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to set it on the edge of this box like that. And then pretty straightforward stuff. We have our box, we have our USB-C charger and cable. Pretty standard stuff. Stickers, etc, etc. If you've seen one Apple unboxing, you've seen them all. So now, I must say, obviously there has been a big push with the silver this year, and silver and the white keyboard. And to be honest, I'm very much a space grey kind of guy. So yeah, this is definitely noticeably heavier. Yeah, I think I might. I might get the scales out and get this weighed, I think. But yeah, space grey is definitely one of the nicest colours. So yeah. Right, let's get it set up. After a lot of hassle, shouting, swearing, I finally got the iPad set up, and it's all my own fault. So when I set the iPad up yesterday, I was all set. Yep, happy days, had it updated. It was running iOS 14.6, and I was like, right, okay, now I can get using this, and I can shoot the rest of this video for you guys. And then I decided to be a smart ass and then put iPadOS 15 beta onto the iPad, and it didn't go well. It was buggy, it was crashing on everything I was trying to do on it. So then I had to go in and download the restore image for 14.6 and restore it, and it took me a while. But we got there in the end. So let's get into it. So here I have it alongside my 2018 12.9 inch iPad Pro. And yeah, I mean, it is, as we all know, it is a wee bit thicker. It's not massively thicker. It just is a bit thicker. So yeah, as we all know, the new one's a slightly bit thicker. It's a little bit heavier as well, but nothing that's groundbreaking. Set these up side by side last night, and my first impression when I took it out of the box was, powered it on, looking at the display, I was like, I don't really feel like it's much different just looking at it here. So I carried on with the rest of the setup, downloaded all my apps and all that sort of stuff. And I was sort of sitting thinking, this doesn't feel massively different. It should feel massively different. You know, it's a lot of money for a tablet, and I was looking at it and that was okay. So then I sat and sort of messed about and did a few bits and pieces on it, and yeah, it's quick, it's snappy, but my 2018 is quick and snappy, you know, so but this is M1, so this should be all singing, all dancing. So, but I want to sort of clear up a bit of misconception about the M1. So a lot of people seem to think that the M1 processor, it's an all singing, all dancing, brand new concept for CPUs, and it's really not. So the M1 is a rebranded A14X CPU. Essentially, it's just the natural evolution of these devices. Apple have been developing their own chips for their phones and their tablets for a long time. You know, A10, A8, A10, A12, right? So this is just the evolution. What Apple have done is that they've rebranded it and called it the M1. And that's fine. That's not a problem. There's a lot of misconceptions out there. A lot of people saying, oh, Apple are sticking desktop processors into their devices. No. It's the other way around. Apple's own silicone chips are mobile chips, and they are that good, they're going into desktops. Let that sink in. These are 5nm chips, and they are so powerful and so efficient that they're taking them out of the phones and the tablets and they're putting them into MacBooks, iMacs. There is a bit of a misconception there, and Apple's marketing doesn't really help it either. But I just wanted to sort of throw that out there because, you know, there's not a lot of people know this, so there is that misconception. So I just wanted to sort of throw this out here. The 2018 iPad Pro is an A12X processor. So then the 2020 iPad Pro got the A12Z. Again, a spec bump. So that's why when you watch the videos of the 2020 iPad, a lot of people said if you have the 2018 model, it's not that big of an upgrade. Hence why I didn't upgrade. Now, that's not to say the M1 was the reason why I wanted to upgrade. I've sort of felt I was due an upgrade. I've had this a good few years now. And I thought, why not? So that's my reason behind it. I didn't jump on the M1 bandwagon and think, right, I need to get this and I'm going to get Final Cut Pro, and no. However, I do want more from iPad OS. So, I mean, there are a lot of people out there which look at these sorts of things as computer replacements, and then because they look at them as computer replacements, when they don't do the things that computers do, then there's a whole big uproar. And again, that's maybe the marketing side of things from Apple. You know, Apple may be marketing and saying, oh, this device can replace your computer. No, it can't. Yeah, it can do certain things, and it can do certain things very, very well. But on a day-to-day, would you walk in and just say, right, that's my computer, my laptop, that's gone, no more. I'm switching to this, and that's all I'm ever going to use. No, that's not going to happen. That's my rant. My rant out of the way. I'm not going to talk any more about it, but let's move on. So, I got this out of the box, got it set up, and I'll be honest, looking at it, I didn't really feel that the display was that impressive, if I'm being honest. I was looking at it and yeah, it looks okay. I mean, it's bright, it's colourful. My other iPad's bright and colourful, so I didn't really notice much of a difference until I put the two of them side by side. And then I put some 4K video content on there and put them side by side, and that's when I noticed the difference. The blacks are pitch black on this display and not so much on this one. You know, it just felt crisper, sharper. So I was looking for other 4K content, and then I was looking through my media library, and then I found the perfect video to compare these. I fired on Avatar simply for, you know, the visuals, the colours. Let's get a look at that display, and the new display is very impressive. It really is. It's not perfect, and yes, there is blooming on it. Again, I'm not going to go into another rant, and I'm not going to go into another, you know, Twitter meltdown about, you know, Bloomgate and all this sort of thing. But I will be honest, yeah, if I position this iPad the right way and take a photograph the right way, I can make this display look pretty awful, you know, in terms of blooming. But I set the wallpaper on this to a completely pitch black wallpaper, and I use dark mode anyway. I use dark mode for everything. So I had dark mode on there, and I was comparing it to, you know, all the things, you know, the white text and things like that there on the tablet. And I'll be honest, the blooming didn't really, I mean, yes, it's there. It's nowhere near as bad as what it's been made out to be. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's a really, really bright display. You'll not get that same bright level of brightness with OLED. So, yeah, it is what it is.
So, just a wee quick detour video, just showing you, this is my camera I use for shooting all my videos. So this is my Sony ZV-1. Just all the standard settings set up, all the standard exposure, and as you can see, this is the brightness up full on the M1 iPad, and as you can see, the blooming does not look nearly half as bad as what it's been made out to be online. I've literally just put my camera down and switched over to my 12 Pro Max, and as you can see it up around here and even here and all around the text. The blooming looks a lot worse through the camera on the phone for whatever reason, you know. So like I say, I wouldn't let a lot of stuff on Twitter and things like that there really rile you up, because when you're looking at this in the flesh, this is not as big a issue as a lot of people made it out to be. So I hope this sort of clarifies a lot of things for you.
That's all I really have to say about that. The display was great. So let's talk specs. So as we know, the 2018 runs the A12X processor. This one has 4 gig of RAM as well. So in theory, this should be the slower of the two. And the M1 has the M1 processor, 8 gig of RAM, and more cores and all that jazz. So in theory, this should be the quicker. So what I have done is I've done a run and an export of about 15 minutes of 4K footage on the 2018 iPad, and it rendered that video in 7 minutes 43 seconds, which isn't too shabby, to be honest. The surprising thing is, now I used LumaFusion on both of these iPads, and exactly the same video files. So there was no sort of variables there. Everything was the same video files, same app, and this the M1, albeit only by a few seconds, the M1 was slower. So it sort of makes me think that iPad OS, especially 14.6, isn't fully optimized yet for this processor, because yeah, I really expected this to run away with it, and it really didn't. So yeah, so I've just run Geekbench on the 2018 iPad Pro, and yeah, we have a single core score of 1124 and a multi-core score of 4668. So yeah, I mean, by all means, the A12X is not a slow processor, albeit, I mean, 2018, it's 3 years old now. Yeah, in theory, it's not a slouch by any means, but the M1 iPad should be quicker. I'm sure you can see it down the side there. You know, there's the specs. There's the specs of it there. You know, so that's your processor. It's a lower clock speed. It's got less RAM. It's got half the RAM. And this rendered 4K, 15 minutes of 4K footage quicker than this. And then Geekbench running on the M1. The single core score significantly higher, 1723, and then the multi-core 7250 on the M1. You know, so on paper, This is significantly faster. This should be smoking this older iPad. So again, there's something within iPad OS isn't just fully optimized for this. Something's holding it back. Which begs the question: if there isn't going to be big changes to iPad OS, what's the point? So yeah, so that sort of covers the specs. The next thing I was looking forward to getting hands-on with was Center Stage. So I remember on the keynote when they announced the iPad, I remember looking at Center Stage and thinking, that looks brilliant. I've always had a problem with where the front-facing camera is on the iPad Pro, because let's face it, most of the time, I don't know about you, but I use my iPad in landscape mode, and the front-facing camera is on the side, and it's in the most stupid position. So when I first seen the keynote, my first thinking was, they've moved that camera. That camera's now moved up to the top of the iPad in landscape mode, and turns out it hasn't. So I tried out Center Stage with FaceTime, and it is really, really impressive. How the software and how that wide angle lens just manages to pick you up and track you where you're going, right to going out of view and then coming all the way back. It's really, really impressive. And the fact that that's available on the likes of Zoom and the likes of Teams as well is very, very impressive. So I'm really, really happy with that. It's not perfect. Again, I think the feature itself would be a lot better if the camera was at the top of the iPad when it's in landscape. If the camera was up here, it would be perfect. It really would. But again, there was that sort of, when you're looking at it, you can tell that while the software is doing its best with what it has, it's still on the side, and sometimes the viewing angle, unless your iPad is sitting upright and straight, if you have a slightest tilt on it, the angle's not great, so I think that the feature could have been perfected. It could have been 10 out of 10, but as it is, I'd give it a 7.5, maybe an 8. Apple, if you ever move that camera, you'll make it better, so make it happen. Again, no other features that are really standout-ish on this iPad. Apple Pencil support, 120Hz refresh rate on the display. The only other thing they have added is Thunderbolt 4 compatibility into the USB-C, which will be great if you have external storage, if you have external drives, SD readers, that sort of thing. And if you have a XDR display, I suppose it'll be good for that, but let's be honest, if you have an XDR display, you're not plugging it into an iPad. So no better support for standard monitors as far as I'm aware, so that's still a wee bit disappointing, but that goes into my complaints about iPad OS 15. So, but again, not for this video. So on the whole, I mean, yeah, it's a good spec bump. And realistically, I mean, if you look at the evolution of Apple and the way they sort of change every year, from the A8 to the A10 to the A12, essentially, it's an A14X. It's a good jump. It fits with what they do. Change a few features. Thunderbolt, better display. Yeah, it's an Apple upgrade, let's be honest. It is what it is. I still think for the power that this iPad can produce, I still think the operating system is holding it back. So it'll be interesting to see what iPad OS 15 can bring as the year develops, because unless they unlock a lot more features and allow a lot more resource to a lot of things, it's not really going to be much of a performance bump. I don't see the logic in buying an M1. If you already have a 2018 or a 2020 iPad Pro, I don't know why you would change. I really don't. Now, if iPad OS 15 does lift the restrictions and allows this chip to be used at its full capacity, well then yeah, then I can understand the logic. I can understand the need to upgrade, have all that power at your disposal. Yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer. With the better display, with Thunderbolt as well for data transfer, super quick speeds, it's a no-brainer. But as it sits at the minute, if you currently have one of these older iPad Pros, I would wait 6 months minimum. Let iPad OS 15 come out fully, let them get the bugs worked out, and then maybe look at upgrading. That would be my honest opinion. for now, it just doesn't warrant, for me, it just doesn't warrant the change. So, yeah. That's just my honest opinion about it, guys. It really is. So, hope you liked the video. I know I've been a bit ranty and a wee bit antsy, simply because I've had so much anticipation for this, and it took so long to arrive, and then when I eventually arrived, it's been a bit sort of underwhelming. WWDC didn't help that with iPad OS, and then when I tried to put iPad OS on it, the beta, then it didn't function properly, and then I just, yeah, it's been a bit draining, been a bit emotionally draining. So thanks for hanging in there with me, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you did, smash that like button for me. It really helps me out in the channel. It helps get the video out into the ether. So I really appreciate it, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, because it really helps me out in the channel, helps me to grow, helps me to keep continuing improving and producing content for you guys, which I just love doing. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.